in a strategic move gearing up for the upcoming 2024 general elections, the new patriotic party has made a significant appointment within its ranks. The manifesto committee, chaired by Oseche Mensah Bonsu, comprises a diverse array of individuals across various sectors. The announcement came as part of a comprehensive effort by the party's flag bearer, Dr. Bawumia, to ensure a robust and well-articulated manifesto for the impending electoral contest. Let's take a look at who made the list. And right there, coming up on your screen, is Oseche Mensah Bonsu, who's supposed to be chairman of that committee, Kojo Nkrumah, vice chairman, and Everon Hughes is supposed to be secretary of that manifesto committee. We also have Professor Kweku Apiedu, who is coordinator, Dr. Isaac Owusu-Mensah, coordinator. If you're a political watcher, you know that Dr. Isaac Owusu-Mensah has been in the scene for quite some time, conducting a lot of research on political activities. Others who are part of the subcommittee chairs, Dr. Sibe Yabua, he is to chair the subcommittee on economy, Tony Otin JC on trade and industry, Kwejo Nsafua Poku, energy and petroleum, William Opon Bill, agriculture, Dr. Augustine Blay, communication and digitalization, and a host of others, including Hamid, Dr. Prince Hamid, who would also be on education. We've heard names of the host of them. Dr. Gideon Boako will be on the minerals and natural resources team. Dr. Emmanuel Mafo, science and technology. Maxwell Opoku-Agyemang, legal and governance. Justina Marigold, local governance. Kwabena Japan, housing and infrastructure. And there's more. Hassan Tampoli is with transport. Edward Asumeni, security. Michael Okwe Jr., foreign affairs. Asamoah Jan, youth and sports. Juliet Asante, tourism and culture. And those are the names. You have Amasewa, agenda. Kofi Jamesi, chieftaincy and religious affairs. Dr. Ayuefriye, health. And Dr. Prince Ama, education. So what do these people bring on the table? I've been joined by Deputy Head of the Political Desk here at Joy News, Winston Amwa. Winston, let's start with the chairman and his deputy, Oseche Mensah Bonsu and Kojo Nkrumah.
Well, so in Oseche Mensah Bonsu, you're looking at the former majority leader in Parliament. He's also been a minority leader. He's by training.
Winston Amwa is the deputy head of the political desk here at Joy News, and he was just making a point. There seems to be a terrible connection. We'll try and get him back on, but you see these two, chairman and deputy chairman. Kojo Nkrumah has recently been reshuffled from information minister. He now goes to head the Works and Housing Ministry. Oseche Mensah Bonsu has been majority leader for over 12 years in Parliament. You just heard yesterday that he resigned from that position. Many say it's because he is going to head this manifesto committee. That's the reason he's been changed. Winston Amwa has joined me again. Winston, we lost you there. Make your point.
I was telling you that Oseche Mensah Bonsu, having been in Parliament for the past 27 years, going into his 28th year, he's a man who's dealt with a lot of issues, okay? Now, at the forefront of it has been other leadership since 2001. And so this is a man who actually knows Parliament, and this is a man who's actually dealt with a lot of bills. In fact, if you look at the Petroleum Revenue Management Act, for instance, at the time of Oseche Mensah Bonsu alone had over 100 amendments. He's a man who's gone through lots of documents and so understands where we find ourselves as a people. Now, you cannot lead government business without having a lot of expertise. And so I think that in choosing Oseche Mensah Bonsu, you're choosing somebody who comes on board with lots of expertise. Apart from his formal education where he was trained in planning, he's been a businessman. He's operated from Swami Magazine, for instance. And so if you want a man who can actually appeal to a majority of Ghanaians and those who are engaged in business, those who are engaged in retail, those who are engaged in spare parts. And you saw the NPP government, you saw Dr. Bamia, for instance, in indicating his vision, telling you about what he intends to do for spare parts dealers, by way of a flat rate for a container. All of these things, if you put them together, are areas that you expect Osei Chairman Sabotu to come and influence. Of course, he's going to be the chairman. There are other members in the committee, and I'm sure we'll talk about them shortly. They also come on board with a lot of expertise. Kojo Oponkroma is vice chairman, and Kojo Oponkroma, apart from being a broadcaster, is also a lawyer. He's also a marketing professional. He's also an accountant. And so he comes on board also with all of these expertise, and also being a member of parliament. The good thing about being a member of parliament, particularly if you partake in the dealings of parliament, is that you have a man who sees lots of documents, you have a man who deals with people, and you're a man who can actually identify with the needs of the people, Aisha.
You have people like Dr. Otinjesi. We all know he's a guru in what he does. That's the natural resources, mine. He used to be former Chamber of Mines boss. You have Gideon Boako, who's been spokesperson for Dr. Baumia over the period. You have people like Asamoah Gyan. If you talk about sports, you know that he's paid his dues. I mean, all of these people, what do they bring?
Well, you talked about Dr. Otinjesi, and Dr. Otinjesi having been AGI president. Now, Dr. Otinjesi, last year we played, a lecture from him. We said that was one of the best speeches of 2023 when he spoke about, Ghana's natural resource area. And so he owns a cable company, and we know what that means, for instance. So if you bring in, for instance, Dr. Otinjesi, you're bringing in a man who understands industry and a man who understands trade. So you can actually see, what I'm beginning to see, what you can read from all of this is that, so I'll use, for instance, Juliet Asante. Juliet Asante, who's currently, I think, the National Film Authority, at the National Film Authority. Now, Juliet Asante is supposed to be in charge of the creative arts. You have Asamoah Gyan, who's supposed to be in charge of sports. I'll get to Asamoah Gyan, but I'll just use these three and other sectors. And so you have Marcus Ibeyabwa, who's supposed to be in the economy. What you can deduce from all of this is that the NPP, in announcing their team, have decided to put in place persons who have expertise in the various sectors, persons who are players in the various sectors, and having been players in the various sectors, are better placed to understand the needs of the sector, and will be better placed to proffer solutions, be better placed to engage sector players, because once you're within a sector, you know the needs, and also your colleagues will be able to engage you, because you also will be proffering solutions here and there, things that you believe should be done for you. For instance, Dr. Marcus Ibeyabwa has been chairman of the Finance Committee in Parliament. Dr. Marcus Ibeyabwa is a finance person. He would be better placed to actually tell what should be done in the Ghanaian economy. He's a researcher. He's been a lecturer before. And so he's somebody who would be able to, look at our current economic situation. In fact, there are a lot of people who expected him to be made finance minister following, the reshuffling of Ken Ofori-Atta, for instance. Then you look at the Asamoah Gyan situation, because it's one of the situations a lot of people have talked about. Yes. What is sports in Ghana? Sports in Ghana is mostly been seen as football, which is wrong. And so in Asamoah Gyan, a former Black Stars player, you want him to come on board, yes, because today people are talking about it. Black Stars people are talking about our performances at the African, competitions. You want Asamoah Gyan to come on board and say, this is how we intend to achieve it. But the challenge, however, is that sports should not only be about football. And so what else would Asamoah Gyan bring on board? Of course, he's going to be the chairperson of the subcommittee. I'm sure there'll be other members there who will come in with diverse backgrounds. We don't know those members yet, and I also think that there will be engagement. But of course, even having Asamoah Gyan also does another thing which many of us are not looking at. So in bringing the former captain of the Black Stars, hate him or love him, but he's the leading goal scorer. He's a record goal scorer for Ghana. He's been a record, a goal scorer when it comes to Africa at the World Cup. So he's somebody who also comes in with a lot of likability, even though some people would disagree. But of course, that face in itself tells you of a party that is looking at shaping or transforming one of the most important sectors of our sport, that's football.
We're saying there are some two key people, who themselves contested Dr. Baumia. I'm talking about Engineer Kwabena Japan and Kwejo Nsafo-Apoku. Now, Kwejo Apoku didn't get the nod to actually get there, but of course, this gentleman, Kwabena Japan, he contested him, and they're all finding themselves on this committee.
I mean, if you look at the Kwejo Nsafo-Apoku, position, for instance, actually, you speak to him all the time, don't you, when it comes to issues of energy? And so if you speak to him on issues of energy, if you listen to him and you want solutions to the problems we have within an energy sector, then I think it will be important to have such a person joining your team. And as I indicated earlier, this is only a way of showing that for the persons that you believe have solutions to our problems, let them come and tell us how we can solve those problems. And one of those persons within the media space, for instance, is Kwejo Apoku. And so I am not surprised. I'm sure the surprise for many people would actually be that why don't you have, the current energy minister or any of his deputies on? But you ask a similar question and say, how many ministers do you have on? Some people would argue, but you see Hassan Tampoli, yes, but how many ministers do you have on? You see Marigold, who's supposed to be in charge of local government, who's currently a regional minister. But hey, if you want to look at energy and energy issues, one of the voices you hear consistently is Kwejo Apoku, and so I don't see anything wrong with having Kwejo Apoku on, such a committee.